You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
All right, guys, welcome in to episode number 94 of the Outspoken Sportscast here. We have a special edition for you. We're going to break down the playoffs together and give you our Super Bowl predictions. I got my good buddy on, Ryan, his first time on the show. Ryan, go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
Oh, man, I'm just so excited to be on the show with you, Brian. I'm a huge Cowboys fan, as you can see, and I've known Brian since we were teenagers and was so glad to be on the show with. So we've had, sports talks and difference of opinions for years now, but it's good to have difference of opinions and different opinions when it comes to sports. So I'm just so excited to be here. A fellow girl dad, surrounded by girls. And so, we got some similarities and stuff, and just so excited for the playoffs. And I got my Jerry Jones autographed Cowboys hat on right here for good luck. Last time I went to a Cowboys game, I told my buddy, I said, hey, if there's one thing I want to happen today is I want Jerry Jones autograph. And I just said that not thinking it was going to happen. And then he happens to walk right by us, shakes my hand, and signs my hat. And so,
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty sick. I'm not a Cowboys fan, as you may know, obviously, but Jerry Jones has been such an influence in the football league in general. So one of the best owners in football, but
for sure.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna break down the playoffs, give you kind of our predictions of go through each game and go from there. And then tomorrow night, me and Jeff will jump on and we'll do we'll go through each game and go round by round. But Ryan, when I was doing this, I kind of had a different ending than I expected, which you might be a little surprised on my two teams that I think is going to end up in the final game of the year, but. We're going to go ahead and start off with the AFC.
All right.
And we're going to start off with the Chiefs and Steelers. And now, even Ben Roethlisberger's joked about this during the week that they kind of really had no chance to win this. So let's go out and have fun. And I think we can both agree that the Chiefs are probably going to take this, and I think the Chiefs won this game easily. I think it's a 31-16 blowout. I don't think the Steelers' offense over time has looked pretty lethargic this year. Their defense is good, but Ben just needs to retire, and so definitely. I'm surprised they made it into the playoffs in general. But this is a pretty easy one to call in my book. Well, how about you?
So I got KC winning it just like you do. However, I don't have a blowout.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to be 31-28. Patrick's going to drive them down at the end and win it all. I think with it being Big Ben's last game, I think he's trying some reverse psychology right now is what I really think. He wants everybody to count him out like they have the whole career. Everybody always discounts the Steelers, even with their 2 Super Bowl runs in his career. Nobody picked them those years when they won, especially in his second year after that amazing rookie year. People are like, eh. But so I think they're going to make it close. I think KC's just way too talented of a team. to lose to Pittsburgh, but I think Pittsburgh's going to play some smash mouth football. I think they're going to run the ball really well against that defense. I think they're going to try to play keep away from Patrick Mahomes, but at the end, I think you're not going to beat Andy Reid and at home, especially in that stadium in that brutal condition. I think the fans win it for him, but I think it's going to be closer than people think just because his team's going to be playing for Big Ben. But I think Pat ruins the parade with last second field goal to win the game.
Gets that job done. Yeah, the Steelers are interesting. They have a good defense. They have some good weapons on offense. I just think something's missing there. And I don't know if it's Big Ben. His ability to move out of the pocket is not there. He's a statue, right?
He looks like Peyton Manning did his last year in Denver.
Yeah.
Without the defense is good. So
that's a very good point there. And the Chiefs have been interesting. They started off the year and everyone thought the sky was falling for them. But they eventually got it together and they're the number 2 seed. And that's nothing to, they've been the 1 seed the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Number 2 seed, still not a bad spot. But I just think that offense is going to be too much for the defense and just the ability, the lack of the ability to score points for the Steelers offense.
Just the experience of the team. They've played in the Super Bowl the last 2 years. They know how to play playoff football.
Look, I'm hoping the Steelers win. I'm tired of the Kansas City winning. I don't want to face the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so I hope the Steelers win that one.
I don't want them to go to that 7th ring, though. So if they beat KC, then all of a sudden they'll talk a miracle run like Jerome Bettis here.
Yeah. All right, well, the next game we got is the number 3 Bills versus the number 6 Pats, and this has been interesting because the Bills last season took off, right? They had one of the best scoring offenses in the league. They played really good defense. And they looked really, really fantastic. And this year, I thought they were going to step up, and they've kind of, they're the number 3 seed. So I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they haven't met my expectations.
Inconsistent at best.
Definitely.
But this is their 3rd season in a row with 10+ wins. This is the first time since the 90s that's happened.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I the Pats, this is a team too. When you look at the Patriots side of the ball here, no one expected them to be where they are without Tom Brady. Bill Belichick's a genius. They got guys back off of COVID that just refused to play last season. That defense is number 1 or top 3 at least in the league. Number 1. I thought so. Mac Jones was the perfect fit to me for Bill Belichick. He's a guy that's going to come in. He's not going to turn over the football. He's going to, he's to drive down the field. That's what Tom Brady was. He drove down the field, 12 play drives to take time off the clock. This is what kind of Mac Jones kind of reminds me of. That defense is really good. I actually have the Patriots upsetting the Bills in this game 28-24. That defense, I think, will force the Bills. The Bills and I talked about this before. The Bills' main thing on offense is they have no rushing attack.
Right.
And their rushing attack relies on Josh Allen, and it relies on him to be able not only to run the ball, but then he's got to be accurate with the football. And at times he's been inaccurate this year. I just think Mac does enough to not turn over the football, to rely on that defense. And I've got the Patriots taking down the Bills in the upset in that playoff game. What do you have, Ryan? What do you think about this game?
I agree with a lot of things that you said. I think Mac Jones is Tom Brady 2.0, and I'm not before everybody is oh man, you can't compare him to Tom Brady. He doesn't look very athletic. He was under the radar a little bit. I mean, I know he was still a 1st-round pick, and Tom Brady slid to the 6th. But I mean, he is Bill Belichick's type of guy. It's not going to turn over the ball. Early in Tom Brady's career, people forget he was a bus driver.
Yeah.
That first 3 and 4 years, he was not an elite quarterback. They had a great defense. They had great players around him. He didn't turn over the ball, and he made drives when it counted. And now we know that he's an elite quarterback, but he's actually better now in his 40s than he was his first year, which is absurd.
That doesn't happen, right? Yeah.
Right. Well, the crazy thing with the Bills, though, Brian, is yes, they don't have a prominent tailback, but they had 2,200 yards rushing this year. And, everybody wants to talk. We'll talk about this later, but everybody wants to talk about the 49ers rushing attack. that actually gives them more rushing yards than the 49ers. Why? Because
Wow. Okay.
Josh Allen runs the ball as well as anyone other than a guy named not Lamar, right? So I
Right.
mean, he can run the ball and he will force the defense into some bad situations. And so I think we're going to have a close, tight one. But I also picked New England to win this game. All
Nice.
that to say, defending the Bills, I still pick New England because Bill Belichick in the
Right.
playoffs. I'm going to bet on him 9 times out of 10 to figure it out. And I'm always going to pick the defense that has shown the most this year. New England has shown that their defense can win. When you run the ball 31 freaking times out of 34, I mean, like it just, you only throw past the ball 3 times and you win the ball game against this team. Now, I know the Bills came back and won that next game because they got embarrassed. I mean, like, how do you not just load the box, put 10 guys in there and stop the run? And they got beat. They got embarrassed. But now I think Bill comes back. He puts another amazing game plan together. He has a drone over their facility right now. And I think New England wins a tough, gritty matchup. I think it's going to be ugly football. I think it's going to be an ugly win. I think you're going to see turnovers on both sides of the ball. I think you're going to see Josh Allen turn over the ball a couple of times. I think he's going to get greedy and try to force a couple interceptions, and that's going to cost them the game. I think Bill's just going to try to bait him into it, and that's ultimately what's going to cost them. So give me New England 20-17.
I agree. This is going to be a really good game. It's going to be punch you in the mouth type of football, playing good defense. What we've seen from Josh Allen in his career, we've seen him take that step every year. We've seen him progress. And I'm like, okay, this guy looks really good. But I've watched him this year, and I haven't been really impressed. He's still overthrowing people, forcing balls in spots.
Oh,
the offense hasn't been there like it was last season. Last year, they took off. Something's missing, and I honestly think it's the lack of a rushing attack for this offense, and it's just and your quarterback. I know Josh Allen's a big beast of a man, but he can only take so many poundings back there rushing the football. I just think that Mac fits so well with Bill Belichick that they're going to figure out a game plan. They're going to shut down that offense, and they're going to get the job done and move on to the next round. And there was a time in the midway through the season, I thought the Patriots were the best team in the AFC.
A lot of people did. They were the number 1 seed for a while.
Yeah, they jumped the number 1 seed. I go, man, who saw this coming? I didn't see it coming, and you cannot Bill Belichick. And I just think the Bills will end up with a disappointment this season for them. But the next game is very interesting.
I agree. I had a tough time with this one, honestly.
Yes, the Bengals and the Raiders are a team that they tend to play to the opponent.
They do.
They can play the Jaguars and struggle, and they can play
Thanksgiving and take it to overtime.
They beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. That's a game that I thought Cowboys had. This is up and down, and first of all, let me say this. I got to give kudos to the Raiders. I got to give kudos to Derek Carr being such a great person and a great leader of this team. But from everything that's gone on for this team this year, John Gruden getting fired, Henry Ruggs killing a lady and going to jail, all this stuff, they've kind of come together.
They had issues too as well with the team. It's just been one thing after another.
Right, and this is a team that could have imploded. But I'm listening to Derek Carr this season. He really is a character guy, a great leader, and he's got this team in the playoffs. And they're going against the number 4 Bengals versus the number 5 Raiders. Saying all that about Oakland, I
already know where you're going, bro. I already know where you're going.
Give me my guy,
yeah.
Joe Burrow. My guy's the man, Joe Burrow. I got him winning this game in a close one, 31-28. This will be the Bengals' first playoff win in 31 years. Now, not to go along with that, but just Joe Burrow. You got Jamar Chase, probably going to win Rookie of the Year. He's been a beast. You got a good running back in Joe Mixon. And the Bengals defense
are loaded.
Oh yeah, you got Joe Mixon. And who's Henry? Is it Riggs? Riggs,
got
Clemson,
you've got Higgins and
Higgins. That's what I'm thinking about.
Higgins, who was
Higgins.
going off, and then and they've got a group of receivers over there that are just beastly.
And he's doing this without an offensive line. This offensive line is not very good, and everyone killed the Bengals for taking Jamar Chase instead of an offensive lineman like Sewell in the first round. Give me the offensive wide receiver all day, every day. Jamar Chase has been a beast. But not only that, they have a good defense. They're playing well enough on the back end to play well. This game's in Cincinnati. Give me Cincinnati to win this game. I think the Raiders will show up and fight and play for Derek Carr. But I got the Bengals taking this one as in a very close game.
Very great point, Brian. Before I get into who I'm going to pick, I just want to ask the audience if this is okay, because last week or week before last, I got a text from Brian over here, and he said, "Hey, man, I think I'm going to buy me a Joe Burrow jersey." So I want to ask all y'all that are watching, is it okay to represent another team that you don't root for as player? Or because I would never, like, I would feel disgusting put anything on my body other than silver and blue. Like, I think Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but I would vomit like if I had his jersey on top of me. And so
you're gonna call me out like that.
I don't.
You know, I've never been the one of having two teams, and I don't. You know, college football I kind of do, but I don't follow it as much. But I agree. I'm not gonna buy a Joe Burrow jersey. Let's just relax. I followed Joe Burrow his last 2 years of college football. I really like him. I like his swagger that he brings to the game. I like his leadership. Coming back from that knee injury, everything about the man, he's just great. He's great right now. And I thought about I like the colors of the Bengals. I was like, they could be my AFC team. But don't you worry, Ryan. I am not buying a Joe Burrow jersey.
Thank you, because I just have to give you a hard time about that. Yeah, I agree with a lot of things. This Las Vegas team is really, really hard to decide on who they really, really are.
Right.
Like, I thought they were going to settle for it. Let's just talk about that crazy game.
They could have settled for the tie.
And then the Chargers call a timeout, which, here's the deal. He did the right thing. You don't play for a tie.
Right.
You don't teach your players, we are going to go for the tie. You always go for the win. Like I said, it's a bad precedent. And they were going to go for the field goal. They could go for the field goal anyway. It was 55 yards. So you don't know what they're going to do. You're trying to get the right defensive packages out there. You're trying to prevent the run. Now, it didn't work. He still ran for 10 yards after the fact. And so what a crazy game. I thought it was going to end up at a tie. Poor Big Ben was going to be sobbing and crying and all that good stuff. And I was like, man. But, yeah, Las Vegas, man, you just don't know what they're going to get. They're getting a huge addition back. Waller got his first game back in weeks.
Yeah.
And you know he's going to knock the rust off. I have a feeling he's going to come back this week, and he's going to put up 100 yards in Cincinnati. I just really feel like he's going to have a really, really big game. I think they're going to rush the ball well. And I think that's what they're going to try to force Joe Burrow into throwing interceptions, because that is the way that you beat Joe Burrow. Yeah. If you're going to beat him, you're going to make him think that the passing lanes are open when they're not. Now, he has 34 touchdowns on the year, Joe Burrow does, but, I mean, he threw 14 picks. And so, I mean, he can throw – that's like almost one a game. So you can count on him to throw you one once a game. And I think in this game it could matter. However, I just think with that attack that they have with those receivers on the other side, once again, Brian, me and you are going to be picking the same thing. I've got Cincinnati winning by 10, 31-21.
We'll probably pick the same until it comes down to the AFC or the NFC. Me and Ryan,
different here in this next round, Tennessee. So I've got right now Tennessee versus Cincinnati and New England versus KC. And so are we going to go ahead and go pick those games right now as well?
Yeah, we're going to go through all that until we get to the Super Bowl, and then whoever we got for the AFC for the Super Bowl, and then we'll jump into the NFC. So
all right. So let's go to this next game in the AFC.
Round two, that's the Chiefs versus the Bengals, right?
No, it would be let's see here.
I got the Bengals winning. They're because the Titans would face the Patriots, who is the 6th seed.
Right.
And the Chiefs would face the Bengals. who are the 4 seed.
Right.
So I got the Chiefs versus the Bengals. This one, Ryan, in the next round was hard for me to pick.
Yeah, I
The
bet.
Chiefs, we've seen the Chiefs struggle this year. We've seen them win 8 in a row, and they've kind of struggled at the end of the year. And the Bengals have been on fire as of late. I want to go. Now I want to go with the Bengals, but you look at the last game they played. The Bengals actually won this game. And I watched most of that game, and the Chiefs kind of took off, right?
Right.
And I was like, I flipped the channel over, and I was like, they're probably going to win. I flipped back. I was like, the Bengals are coming back, and they end up winning this game. If the Chiefs keep that momentum and keep playing, they probably, a couple things go their way, they probably win that game. I got the Chiefs winning this game. I got them winning this game 35-34. That's how close I think this game is. I just think Patrick Mahomes, these offensive weapons they have, and the experience, exactly right. Joe Burrow's a young guy. This team's very young. I like the direction they're going. But give me Mahomes, give me Kansas City to win this game. And what I like about the Kansas City Chiefs, what we've seen so far this year, is their defense in their first 5 games was like the worst ranked defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that flop. We've seen it flip-flop. They have gone from one of the worst defenses to play in the league to a top 5. And we've seen them play really well. And that's just great coaching. That's changing things around. I think they're going to give Joe Burrow some fits in the backfield with that offensive line. They're going to be able to stop Joe Mixon. It's all going to be, the pressure's all going to be on Joe Burrow. And I'm hoping he's able to win the game. I just think Kansas City, with Andy Reid, the experience, Mahomes, and the 2 weapons they have, as far as Kelsey and Hill, are going to go off. And you got Clyde's Edward-Helaire in the background as well. So I like Kansas City in this game. I hope I'm wrong, but my gut tells me that Kansas City takes it.
Right. Man, for Cincinnati, they've got to hope, honestly, that Buffalo beats New England. Because if Buffalo somehow beats New England, I would pick Cincinnati to upset Tennessee and go to the AFC Championship game.
I can see that.
I think Cincinnati is better than Tennessee.
I can see that.
I don't think they're better than Kansas City, though. And so I'm going to pick Kansas City just like you, but the only way that I could see Cincinnati making some noise in this playoffs and going to the AFC Championship game is if we're both wrong and Buffalo does beat New England. And then if that were the case, then Cincinnati would play Tennessee in the next round. And then I think they beat them. And so, but I think you're exactly right. I think KC just has too much experience. I don't think you're going to, with their coach over there in Cincinnati, I don't think he's going to outcoach Andy Reid in these playoffs. I think Joe Burrow is going to be a great quarterback, but I think he's going to have to take his licks in the playoffs, just like Patty Mahomes did coming out. I think it's a tough, gritty one, but give me the Chiefs 35-28.
I totally agree. And if you were to tell the Bengals fan at the beginning of the year that they were going to win their division and by our standards win a playoff game, right, that's a successful season. That is something you can build on, and there's a lot of stuff to look forward to there in Cincinnati. But not only do you talk about playing Andy Reid and you playing Patrick Mahomes with the experience, but you're talking about playing in Kansas City, and that home field advantage is one of the best in the NFL. Nobody
wants to play there.
Nobody. Cold, the noisy crowd. It is an insane environment, and it's also going to depend on what Chiefs team shows up. The first 5 games of the year where we were kind of going, what is going on with Kansas City? Patrick Mahomes,
they're going to make the playoffs for a little bit,
right? You had no idea, and before the year, I did my predictions of who I thought was going to win the division, and I wanted to say the Bengals, but I didn't have the balls to say it, and they ended up winning the division. So, it's going to be a good game either way. And this is probably, I don't know about you, Ryan, but when I look at this playoffs, this is probably the most intense, crazy playoffs I've seen in a long time.
I think it's the most open that I can remember it being in my adult life.
Yes.
Like every year, like last year, we said going down the stretch, the Bucs were going to probably win it all. like the second half of the season when they started clicking and steamrolling, everybody was like, "Hey, here comes the Bucks, here comes Tom Brady." Didn't really surprise me, but this year, like if I had to put my money like on who's going to come out of either conference, like I wouldn't bet, like because it's just that close, especially when we get to the NFC bracket in just a minute. There is 5 teams that could legitimately win that conference over there. But man, yeah, I think Cincinnati makes it interesting. I think they make it fun, but give me KC, Arrowhead Stadium all day.
I agree with you there. And the next game, we got the number 1 Tennessee Titans versus the number 6 Patriots. We both have the Patriots moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Tennessee. Now you got to think about this. Derrick Henry coming back, okay, in the playoffs. They're going to get their best weapon back. I got the Patriots losing this one. I got Tennessee winning this one 28-17. I think they were able to run the ball, pound Derrick Henry all day. That's going to open up the play action pass for Ryan Tannehill. This offense has been better than I expected without Derrick Henry this season. And the Titans, to go along with that, they have a top 8 defense. They're number 7 in the league right now in defense. They're covering really well on the back end. I think they're going to give Mac Jones fits, and I just feel like Tennessee. I have not given them credit all year long, but when you look at Tennessee, and I haven't last year either. When you look at Tennessee and what they've done without Derrick Henry, I really think their head coach deserves to be up for Coach of the Year. What they rely on in their rushing game and what they've done without him has been fantastic. The number 1 seed, I did not expect that at all. I give very much kudos to the Tennessee Titans with a good defense. They're gonna ground the pound with Derrick Henry when he gets back, and they're able to beat you without him as well. Ryan Tannehill playing very well. These wide receivers playing really well for him, and I got them. I just don't think Mac Jones, the rookie, has enough to win this next round.
So a lot of good insight right there, Brian. I'm with you. I've got tennis. I think we agree so much in this AFC. I think we're going to start disagreeing when we get to the NFC bracket quite a bit.
Yeah.
But man, I've got Tennessee beating New England in a blowout, 35-14 Tennessee. I just don't think that New England has enough offensive weapons to compete. I think that number 1 defense is going to get hurt by Derrick Henry. And let's not forget that A.J. Brown was out for half the year. Let's not forget that Julio Jones missed multiple games and got his first touchdown the last week of the season. I thought that was huge going into the playoffs. Right. I think Julio Jones is going to have a big day. He hasn't had a good season at all by his standards. And I think he's after a championship. That's why he wanted out of Atlanta. That's why he went over to Tennessee. I expect him to have a big playoffs, kind of like Antonio Brown did last year for Tampa Bay. I expect Julio Jones to kind of see some of his former self in the playoffs. I think A.J. Brown will be A.J. Brown, and I think Derrick Henry's just going to beat down that defense. And Bill can try to coach all he wants. He's just outmanned, outmatched, and he's not going to be able to beat his former player coaching on the other side over there against him. And so 35-14, give me the Tennessee Titans in that game.
Nice. And yeah, like you said, we're going to agree on these. The AFC to me has been, they're not as strong as NFC in my opinion. And I think anybody that's watched these games and watched these teams can see that. To me, Baltimore is not a very good football team. They've been the most injured football team in the league. I don't put my trust in Lamar Jackson at all. Cleveland's been probably the biggest bust of the NFL, the biggest disappointment this year. I actually projected them to win that division. Baker Mayfield's not the guy there.
Though, with him playing with the torn rotator cuff basically all year long and fighting through injuries, I mean, you could tell he couldn't throw it 20 yards without it hurting.
It could be. And like I told Jeff that that's the biggest element for Cleveland. Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback you've had in ages. But is he good enough to win? And if he's not, you got to get rid of him. I think they move on from him. But he's been the best quarterback you've had. So how do you go about that? That's the biggest decision that Cleveland's got to make. Is
you're only a year removed from making the playoffs, and I don't know how we're getting to Cleveland because they're not in the playoffs. But
I know, sorry,
it's fine. But you're only a year removed from winning a playoff game. Like that's
true.
They won a playoff game a year ago, went to the second round, and then they had injuries facing this year. I think you give Baker another year. Let him give him a prove it. If he does great, then franchise tag him and give him his money. But
is he still under contract? I thought they had to make a decision this season. Am I wrong on that?
When I was told in the reports I was reading that he will be back next year. I believe this next year will be his 5th year. And if I remember right, they his 5th-year option. But all thoughts are that he will be back next season, and they'll give him one more year to see healthy. Hey, what can you do for us? He hasn't lived up to being the number 1 overall pick at all, but I do think he's a bus driving quarterback that you could win a championship with if you put a good team around him.
I think he's got a good enough team. And we're going that way because I'm just trying to think of other teams that we thought might be there, but the Ravens have been disappointing, but they've been injured.
Does Baltimore win that division if Lamar stays healthy?
I think so. I think they do. Now, I'm not a big believer. I'll tell you straightforward. I'm not a big believer in Baltimore being or with Lamar Jackson be able to. I said he will never win a championship, and I'll truly agree with that. But I think they are good enough with Lamar to win the division with a healthy Lamar. They lost all the running backs before the season even started. All of them. Yeah. So
Tennessee, Kansas City.
All right, let's jump forward here. Tennessee and Kansas City. And I got to think about this one, Ryan. And I thought to myself, am I going to give Tennessee the props here? Am I going to jump on Kansas City? Because it's easy to say that Kansas City could win this game easily. But I ended up picking the Tennessee Titans here. I picked the Tennessee Titans to win 34-31, a very close game. Defense is top 8. The Kansas City defense has been really good at getting to the quarterback. Derrick Henry coming back, being fully healthy was one of the reasons I picked them to win last game. I think it's going to be big for them. Now, I really like what you said about Julio Jones. I think he's going to have a very impactful game or two here in the playoffs for them. And the other wide receiver, Hollywood Brown, there as well. He's a deep threat.
A.J. Brown,
my bad. Hollywood Brown's the freaking Ravens. I got the Ravens on my mind. I think they're able to get over the hump. I think at home in Tennessee are able to fluster Patrick Mahomes and able to take it to the Super Bowl. And I have not given Tennessee Titans their props last year or this year. And we might vary here. I'm going to give them their props. I think this team, especially on defense, has impressed me this season. I think they're going to get the job done and make it to the Super Bowl this season.
Well, I hope you're right, but I completely disagree with you here. And so I think Tennessee has a great team. I think their team is phenomenal. I'm not completely convinced that Derrick Henry is going to be 100% that he returns. I do think that he'll be good enough to get by New England, and I think he'll be good enough. And they've got the bye week, so I think that the matchup favors them there with New England, but then they're going to get hit in the mouth when they play KC. Now, I know their defense isn't great, but the thing is, man, they're going to be jacked up and ready to try to go because they're still going to be so mad that they lost the Super Bowl last year, and they're going to be ready to play that game. And here's the thing. Do you think Ryan Tannehill's a top – I'm going to start a little higher and then work my way down. Do you think he's a top 10 quarterback?
No.
Do you think he's a top 15 quarterback?
Yes.
Where would you put him in that would you put him closer to 15 or closer to 10?
I'd probably put him number 12. I'd probably put him closer to 10.
Okay.
Go ahead. What he's done and what this offense has done without Derrick Henry, which I think you can agree with. This is the team that relies the most on the rushing attack out of anybody else in the NFL. I think I put him probably number 12. And I think what this team's done without Derrick Henry shows me enough that they're playing well enough right now to get to the final, the Super Bowl. I could be wrong. This was a coin flip for me, but I went off gut feeling. I went off of the fact that they've got here without. If you told me Derrick Henry was injured basically most of the season, and you told me that Tennessee ended up number 1 seed, I would just laugh at you because that's how much they depend on him, right? I wouldn't believe it. So I'm going to put Tannehill number 12 to answer your question there, closer to top 10 than the 15 and the basically the middle. But stats may say I'm wrong. But, I don't know. You tell me, you're Mr. Stat guy over there.
I can pull up it. So I've got his numbers right here before me, but I was just looking at the quarterbacks in the playoffs. So he threw for 3,700 yards. Then in this day in the NFL, if you're not throwing for 4,000 yards, you're probably not throwing it too much.
Right.
And so, I mean, to me, he's only better than 4 quarterbacks, and I think it's maybe even 3 that are in the playoffs. That's not even the other 18, and so I don't even have him ranked in the top 10 of the quarterbacks that are in the playoffs. And I don't think you would you say that he's better than Joe Burrow? No.
No, definitely not.
Would you say he's better? Would you say he's better than Derek Carr? I wouldn't. Would you say he's better than Josh? You might, and that one's probably one of the closer ones. I wouldn't say he's not better than Josh Allen.
No.
I have him better than Mac Jones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You got to have him better than Mac Jones.
He's not better than Patty Mahomes. Not even close, right? He's better than Big Ben. So right now we're at 2 quarterbacks that he's for sure better that are in the playoffs. He's not better than Stafford. He's not better than Murray. I don't think he's better than Dak. He's him and Jimmy G is probably a wash.
I'll take him over Jimmy G.
Yeah, I do too. And so barely.
G.
So that's one of the ones that I wrote down. And then obviously you're going to talk Tom Brady over him, and you're going to take him over Jalen Hurts. That means you've got Jimmy G, Big Ben, Mac, and Jalen are the only quarterbacks that he's better than in the playoffs. And so this matchup is going to be a big deal. I think Tannehill is a serviceable quarterback, but I think he's the middle of the pack. And with the team being so close, I think in this game, the discrepancy at quarterback is going to be the difference in the game. You've got, I hate to say it, you've got the best quarterback in the game. I know you may differ than that, but I think, we can do a whole show on that right now. And I'm not talking about careers. I think right now, in the last 3 years, Patrick Mahomes has been the best quarterback in football. And Aaron Rodgers has a great argument for that.
Yes, he does.
But I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, and he's the future of the sport. And I think that he just figures out a way to win this game. I think it'll be nasty. I think it'll be tough. They'll be on the road in Tennessee, and so it won't be at Arrowhead. So I think it's going to be a close game. I really don't want Kansas City to win, but I just think they beat Tennessee here. And in fact, I picked Kansas City at the beginning of the year to be in the Super Bowl for a 3rd straight year. So I'm going to stick with it here.
Go sticking with the guns. Look, I totally agree. When I got down to this matchup the other day, as I guess you could say, crunching the numbers, I was surprised. My gut was saying Tennessee. And you're probably right. You're probably right, Ryan. To me, you have to have a elite quarterback to win, right? And pretty close to it. Mahomes is way better than Tannehill. There's not even.
It's not even like tier 1 and tier 2.
Yeah,
like
it's not even
like tier 1 versus tier 4.
Right. It's not even close. But my gut told me what they've done without Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
This defense being a top 10, being they're the number 8 or number 7th in the league as far as I looked up earlier. I just think they're going to do enough to get the job done. This is a coin flip. I can't stand Kansas City. I'm tired of winning. I'm tired of.
They only have one Super Bowl, Brian. They've only got one.
I know. I'm just tired of it just being them. So I try not to let that really affect my judgment on this game and try and be in bias as general as possible. But I got Tennessee, and that's the first time we've actually disagreed. And there might be a lot of disagreement here in NFC round 1. So let's jump over to the NFC, where Ryan's a Cowboy fan. I'm a Green Bay Packer fan.
Fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got the Bucs, number 2 seed, versus number 7 Eagles. And this is not even close. Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback. This team is pathetic, in my opinion. They've actually won more than I expected to this year. But I got the Bucs blowing out the Eagles 35-10. Tom Brady in the playoffs is a different beast. The defense is still a good defense. They're going to miss Antonio Brown? Maybe. But not enough to affect them against the Eagles.
Yeah, you've probably got the best rushing attack versus the best run-stopping front seven in all of football. What the Eagles did this year running the ball was absolutely crazy. They had 2,700 yards rushing the ball this year. And they're loaded at running back. I mean, their third and fourth running backs on that team could start for other teams. I mean, you've got Scott, you've got Howard, you've got Sanders. All those guys could start, and then you've got their fourth string who was running all over the Cowboys the other night. The game's like, and he could be somewhere like. And so you've got just an amazing rushing attack there. It's Tom Brady in Tom Brady, what he does in the playoffs, it's crazy. Every year I'm like, all right, this is the year where Tom Brady looks 44 years old.
Right.
But however, I don't think it'll be as big of a blowout as you think it is. I think I could really see the Buccaneers here overlooking the Eagles, already looking to the next round, and then the first quarter or two is really, really close. And then in the second half, that's when I think Brady will start to separate. But go ahead and give me the Bucs 28-14. I think it'll be 14-7 or 14-14 at half, and then I think the Bucs will completely dominate and shut down that run in the second half, and 28-14 Bucs in that game.
You know, I tell you what, I'm being a Green Bay fan. I don't want Tom Brady in the playoffs. I don't want it. I tell you that right now. I'll take any other team in the league other than Tom Brady in the playoffs. And so I'm hoping the Eagles win. I'm hoping they somehow the Bucs fall to some other team. But
I mean, am I crazy here? And we might get to this here in a minute, but I think I want Tom Brady this year over Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it's a coin flip with those two. Aaron Rodgers has been playing really well, and I think when it comes, let me ask you this. I'm very interested in your opinion on this. Who's your MVP of the league? Is it Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? And to me, it's only those two. It's only those two.
It is those two guys, man. And that's a tough call. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to get it because of y'all being the number one overall seed this year. But, man, to me, I would give it to Tom. And it's not that he's played better than Aaron this year. It's because Aaron's probably got 5 to 7 more years left in him and probably get 1 or 2 more. And so I think it's a coin toss between those two guys, and I think both deserve it. And I would probably just give it to Tom because he's 44. And what he's doing at 44 years old is absolutely nuts. And the fact that, right now he's carrying that team with all the injuries that they have, and he's still with no ones. He found a way to win the last couple of weeks to take them from the number 4 spot a couple of weeks ago, and then ended up getting the number 2 spot to charge out without Fournette, without their Godwin's out for the year. AB, the shenanigans at the Jets game, they lost him, and so I mean he did get his number 1 receiver back, but he was even out for a couple of games, and so. But then you've got your boy Aaron Rodgers, and we can get to this in a minute, but been without a starting line all year and doing what he's doing. So man, both those guys absolutely. Man, it's a coin flip.
it is very tough. Brady has more passing yards than Aaron Rodgers. They throw the ball a little more there. Rely less on the rushing attack and
over 1,200 yards more passing than Aaron.
That's pretty big. He has more interceptions than Aaron Rodgers.
But he has 6 more touchdowns.
He does have 6 more touchdowns. And this might shock you. I think you're right. I think Tom Brady deserves it. What he's doing at 44, what the passing yards he has. He's throwing a little more interceptions. But he's throwing more touchdowns. I think Tom Brady deserves the MVP this season, but Aaron Rodgers could particularly win it with being the number 1 seed, doing what we've done without some star players, without the offensive line, getting that number 1 seed, locking it up. The Green Bay Packers are the first team in NFL history to go 13-3, at least 13-3 for 3 years in a row. I gotta give Tom Brady. Do you think that Aaron Rodgers' vaccination status is going to hurt voters? Because that's been a big story lately.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In states like California and New York that have big fan bases, I think that will absolutely hurt him in some states.
Should it?
Absolutely not. It should not, but we know what world we live in. And
yes. Okay. We're on the same boat on that one. It should absolutely not. And I kind of tie that into when you look at Terrell Owens in the Hall of Fame. I don't care what he did off the field. and I don't care what we did in locker room, right?
What did he do
It's
on the field? Yeah.
it's the stats, right? So I
Yep.
agree with you there, and I
That's
just want
not
to
here. You know that I'm always going to look at the stats, which is why Romo in the Hall of Fame. If we're going by stats alone, look at I'm just making a case for my boy right now. Tony Romo in the Hall of Fame.
Look, I'll give you this. Tony Romo is the best undrafted quarterback to play in NFL history. Okay.
Can you answer this one? And this one will
I mean-
warm my heart for me, okay? Was Tony better than Eli?
Hands down, not even close.
And
Way better than Eli.
And Eli will be in the Hall of Fame, and my boy Tony will not.
Exactly. Because of a great defense.
Well,
And
my boy Tony will, but it'll be for being the best commentator there is.
Yeah. Well, he could definitely get there that way. To me, you got to give that. Well, the best. I mean, he's not better than John Madden.
No, right now.
Okay, right now, yes.
Now he is the best there is. But he's actually on the list this year to be considered to be being voted for. I don't know that he'll make it'll be a couple of years before he won't be a first ballot if he makes it, but he's actually made the list to be voted for. So we'll see what happens there. But anyways, yeah, man,
Yep.
Coin flip. We'll see what happens with Brady and Aaron.
All right. Well, speaking of Dallas Cowboys, we got Dallas Cowboys next. Number 3, Dallas Cowboys versus the number 6 49ers. And I'm going to let you take this one first, Ryan. I want to get
I'm about to say the same to you. All right. I am sick and tired of all of what the analysts are having to say. Look, and I got to be honest with you. I do think this was the most difficult matchup the Cowboys could have gotten in the first round. However, this is what I wanted. Why? Because it sets us up better in future rounds. Yes, it's a tough matchup right now, but who cares if I win the first round against Arizona and then go up to Lambeau and get knocked out right away? Like I want the best path to going further than we've gone in years. And so being a number 3 seed gives us a chance to avoid the Green Bay Packers until the NFC Championship game and having to play over there at Lambeau Field where it's going to be freezing cold and miserable probably. And if by some chance y'all get upset by the Cardinals or the Rams then we would be, if we beat the Bucs, then we could play home in an NFC Championship game. So I wanted to move up this last week. I was in favor of playing all of our players. You don't know what's going to happen. In fact, there was a second there where it looked like the Bucs might lose and we could get the 2 seed. And don't even get me started that if we would have done our business and played like we should have played against the Cardinals, we would be the number 1 overall seed right now because y'all guys decided to not even play well with your starters this last week because I don't know what the deal was there. But, man, so I think this is going to be a tough, gritty game. But everybody wants to talk about the 49ers rushing attack. I've got some numbers on the 49ers rushing attack that happens to be so great. They rushed for 2,166 yards. Do you think that they're way ahead of the Cowboys in rushing yards this year?
I would say yes.
They have 40 more rushing yards on the season. So that means they average 2 to 3 yards a game more than us rushing. We have a 1,000-yard rusher on our sideline. They do not. Now, I'm not saying they can't run the ball. That's their game. But the reason that's their game is because they have a bad quarterback.
They have no trust in Jimmy G.
They have no trust in your quarterback. And so they're going to try to out-physical you. They're going to try to hurt you. They're going to try to do all these things that they can do to win the game. And now listen, I was actually rooting for the 49ers to win the other day because I wanted to move up to number 3, and I knew that probably meant playing them. And I think that the Cardinals would have been a better matchup for us. I think we got out of our game plan last time we played them. I think our boys would have been hungry. I think it's really hard to beat a team 2 times in 3 weeks. I think we would have probably beat the Cards, but I wanted to play the 49ers because I wanted to see the best as well. I think the Saints are trash. I think the Eagles are trash. Neither one of them belong in the playoffs. The 49ers were 8-3 the last 11 games of the year. They deserve absolutely to be in the playoffs. And if you want to be the champion, you've got to beat the best teams. And the 49ers were one of the best 6 teams in the NFC this year, and I see that Jeff's asking, will San Francisco out trick the Cowboys? I think they're absolutely going to try to trick the Cowboys, and they're going to try to trick Mike. I think Shanahan's going to have a hard time tricking Dan Quinn. Let's not forget about that matchup that they coached together for several years, and Dan Quinn got to see Shanahan blow the Super Bowl for him. He got to sit there and watch his OC stop, hit the brakes. It was 28-3, and all of a sudden now he's just running the ball 3 times at the beginning of the third quarter and doing check downs and trying to bleed the clock, and they lost the Super Bowl for it. And the difference between Kyle and I'm not talking about Mike, because I don't think Mike makes a difference for us in this game. I think Kyle's probably a slightly better head coach, but I think both of our coordinators are significantly better than the coordinators and the coaching staff on the other side and make a difference for it. I think Dan Quinn has changed his schemes enough that while he still wants to play football similarly, that he will he'll confuse Shanahan, and Kyle's still running the same type of offense that he was running in Atlanta. He hasn't changed much. I think if there's an edge between those two guys who coached together for so long, it goes to Quinn. So that being said, I threw some stats out there. I think the Cowboys, they lead the NFL this year in turnovers. In fact, they had 20, let me pull that up. They had 24 interceptions this year. That is absurd. That is absolutely crazy. I don't know that we'll ever do that again. But man, I think that turnovers, Micah Parsons is going to be the X factor in this game. I do not want Micah Parsons playing edge this game. If you play him at edge, they're going to run it down our throats. They're going to run over LVE, and he might get a couple of sacks, but you're going to have to play Micah Parsons. His versatility helps us in this game. You're going to have to play him in the middle. You got to win first and second down, and I think when you begin to blitz on third downs, then Micah will get him a couple times. I think Jimmy, like I said before, I think quarterbacks make a big difference, and I think there's a big discrepancy between Dak and Jimmy G in this game, and I think it'll ultimately be the difference. I think Dak's a top 10 quarterback, arguably top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and I think that while people have said that he's been kind of a slump the last half of the year, man, when you go look at the numbers don't say that. It's because the first 8 games of the year, he was playing MVP level. In the last 8 games of the year, he was just playing top 10 level. Well, still give me a top 10 quarterback against Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Give me a top 10 quarterback against Jimmy G any day. And so I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be gritty. I think I'm going to have to count on Greg the Leg to
Woo!
Yep. But give me Cowboys 27-24 in a slugfest. I just think at the end of the day, I think Jimmy G turns over the ball too many times. I think Micah Parsons gets to him. I think the Cowboys find a rhythm. And I think Zeke and Pollard will run for 200 yards this game. Everybody's so focused on the thing. I think that you're going to see the Cowboys run the ball this game, and it's going to surprise everybody. But that's what I got for this game.
Nice. This game was interesting for me because I so wanted to say Cowboys are going to lose, right? This is what I want to say. But when I got to thinking about this game, look, the 49ers are great at rushing the ball, right? Okay, you said great. You broke up the stats. They're not that much better than the Dallas Cowboys at doing so. Honestly, I don't trust Jimmy G. Honestly, I think Jimmy G played his tail off to come back last week and beat the Rams. I think that was his game. That was his playoffs. The defense of Dallas Cowboys has turned a 180 from last year. They've been fantastic. And the biggest question to me and a lot of the NFL was, what are the Cowboys without the turnovers, right? What are the Cowboys when they don't get any turnovers? Are they that good on defense or not? They're going to put pressure on Jimmy G. They're going to force him to make bad decisions. They're going to get turnovers. The rushing attack's got to be good for the 49ers if they want to win. They've also got to get Dak. And the way you beat Dak Prescott is not blitzing him. You confuse him. Arizona showed you that.
He's the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks. He's actually elite against the blitz.
Against the blitz.
Against the blitz, he's elite.
He knows where to go when he's being blitzed. You don't blitz him. You drop back in coverage, and you hope your front line can force pressure on him. Dak Prescott, and you could talk about numbers. He's looked off, Ryan. Okay, in the last half of the season, I've seen him miss wide open passes. I've seen him miss throws he would make on a normal day. I do have the Cowboys winning one. I do have Cowboys squeaking out, getting a win. I have them winning 31-27. To me, they've got too many weapons on offense. Their defense is what's going to win in this game. They're going to force Jimmy G into a couple interceptions, I believe. And because that lack of trust in Jimmy G, I've got the Cowboys squeaking one out in Dallas in a very hard-nosed, tough football game to move on to the next round.
So, I mean, I would say this, like, he's not been playing to an MVP level, but over the last 5 games, Dak had 13 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Does that, I mean, when you look at those numbers and they're like, man, he's so off right now. He's just not playing good ball.
You can look at numbers, and I know you're a stat guy, and I like to look at stats too when I don't, but I there's a difference in stats and then watching the game. And if you watch that Cardinals game, look, that's one that me and Jeff circled on the calendar, said this is going to prove to us if the Dallas Cowboys are legit, because they beat up on bad teams. Your division, we can argue, is not very good. Okay, I'm not saying mine's great, but yours is not very good either. So, but watching Dak Prescott play, just me watching him, I don't know if it's his calf injury. To me, something seemed off.
So, did you notice a difference when we played the Cardinals in Dak in the fourth quarter versus the first?
Yeah, big difference in the fourth quarter. I don't know if that's coaching.
Well, to me,
game plan.
That was the first game, and this could tie into this game going into playoffs. That was the first game of the year where I would say coaching cost us the game. The game plan was terrible. Time management was terrible. That game, you got tricked by a coach that's not very good, that couldn't even make it over at Texas Tech. He forces you to call a timeout so that you have to waste it. Sends the whole offense out there on 4th and 6 with the kicker running out. So you run your whole special teams out there and you have to force the timeout. And the Cowboys scored 15 points in the fourth quarter. And the reason they scored 15 points in the fourth quarter and only 7 in the first 3 before is that they decided all of a sudden, hey, we ran tempo the entire game against Washington and we scored 56 points. 56. And then let's go to Arizona and let's huddle up and let's take our time and let's not do what we just did to get 56 points. Let's just run something different. And then in the fourth quarter, oh, ding, 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 ding. Let's go do what we did to score 56 points the other day. Oh, we go tempo. Oh, we score 15 points. In Arizona's defense, all of a sudden can't stop us. To me, the only thing that can stop this offense is Mike and Kellen. To me, that's the only thing that could stop this offense in the playoffs is Mike and Kellen. Get in their heads thinking they're going to outsmart the other coaches. Do what you do best, and that is tempo. Throw the underneath passes to your tight ends. Throw them to your wide receivers. Let your receivers go make plays. But, so that's what that game. I mean, we still only lost by 3 points, and they fumbled the ball with 2 minutes left. But because you were out coached, you couldn't even challenge it.
Now, look, I've told Jeff this too. I think even if y'all played the Cardinals again in round 1 and you played them, I think you win that game.
I think we blow them out.
The Cardinals didn't show me nothing special that game. The Cardinals, ever since Green Bay beat them with no wide receivers, mind you, in Arizona, they've kind of looked like they've come back down. And look, they're missing DeAndre Hopkins. I get it, but they didn't impress me that game. The Cowboys looked off that game. We both got Cowboys moving on. I'm surprised. You're probably wondering about that. This will be a tough matchup, but I think you guys win.
It's more fun to talk about here in a second.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got number 4 Rams versus the number 5 Cardinals. This will be a good matchup. I think the Rams defense wins them this game. I'm not scared of the Cardinals. What they showed the last half of the season, I'm not scared of them. I don't think they're that great of a football team, all said and done. And going into this year, we talked about Matthew Stafford This is going to be huge. Matt, we've given Matthew Stafford the benefit of the doubt. He's always been a good quarterback. He's just been in a bad organization. He comes over to the Rams. He has all the offensive weapons, and he still throws 3 interceptions. He still cost them football games. I don't have faith in Matthew Stafford. I think he will actually end up costing them a playoff game by throwing them too many interceptions in a game. Saying all that, I got the Rams winning this game 30-27. I think it's closer than people think because of the fact that these two are division foes and they will play each other tough. I got the Rams defense winning this game for them. And Matthew Stafford will probably turn over the football once. I don't think it's enough to lose in this game. But you got to look at if the Cardinals have DeAndre Hopkins back? Is he going to be back for the playoffs? I don't think that's for sure 100%. They're missing something without him on the football field. Mm-hmm. Give me the Rams to win this one.
Yes, I've got the Rams winning this one 30-21. I think that defensive line, you've got arguably the best defensive player in the whole NFL on your team over there. I think you've got, if not the best, one of the top 2 or 3 cornerbacks in all of football over there. And not to mention, we saw one of the most historic seasons we've ever seen at wide receiver, winning the Triple Crown in receptions, yards, and touchdowns for Cooper Kupp. I think it's just too much for Arizona to handle without D-Hop as well. And not to mention, man, I think, I'm going to say it, I think Kyler Murray's overrated. I think that
throwing the shot, huh?
So
I like it. I like the call.
I know he's a hometown hero, and he's not a Cowboys fan, all that good stuff. But here's what I've seen: he starts out every year amazing. We talk about in the first half of the year how he's going to be the MVP. The last couple of seasons, he's looked great, and then the second half of the year, when his 5'8" self gets beat up, he starts throwing interceptions and he starts playing different. He starts playing a little scared. He starts doing things he doesn't normally do. They've got him listed at 5'10". That boy is 5'8", easy. And I just think over a course of a season, while he's just one of the best athletes the NFL has ever seen, and getting drafted number 1 overall and then drafted number 7 overall by the A's in baseball. He's just a freak athlete. But I just think over the course of an NFL season, he gets beat up and he starts playing bad and different because of it. With that being said, I've got the Rams winning this one 30-21. I think Kyler throws a couple of costly picks. I think he gets frustrated. I think he forces some things to Christian Kirk. I think he tries to do some things with Moore, and just I think he's going to get frustrated. Wouldn't be surprised if we see them fumble the ball as well with that front. And so I just think they're going to make too many mistakes. I think Stafford still throws a pick in this game, but ultimately I still think they've hit 30 points on the board to win the game.
I tend to agree. I think Kyle Murray is overrated. He is an athlete. You look at Lamar Jackson, he's an athlete. I think they're kind of tied in the same. They're athletes. They run the ball well. Kyle Murray does throw the ball way better than Lamar Jackson. But I tend to agree with that statement that Kyle Murray is a lot overrated. And Cliff Kingsbury, their coach, is known for blowing games in the second half of years. He's done it in college football. He's done it in the NFL.
And Sean McVay did it a couple times here recently too. There's no reason they should have lost that 49ers game. None.
No, 17-0. I said, that's game. I turned it back over. I'm like, oh my gosh, 49ers coming back. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you with Arizona. I don't trust them. I don't respect them. And without DeAndre Hopkins, that offense is all on Kyle Murray, and I don't think he has enough to get the job done there. So we both agree with the teams moving on. Round number 2, we got the Green Bay Packers number 1 versus the Rams number 4.
We talked about Dallas and Tampa Bay quite a bit. You want to jump into the Green Bay LA game for us first and give us some things and some thoughts on Green Bay? I know you've got way more info on Green Bay since it's the only team in the bracket that we have not talked about yet, other than your quarterback. So Green Bay, LA, home game. What you got?
Home game. I love it. And I love it. I love it. I love it. We beat them last year in the playoffs as well. We beat them this year in the NFL. We beat Matthew Stafford a lot. I got the Packers winning this game. And look, last year I was high on the Packers. Said, man, we got the number 1 scoring offense in the league. We're going to take home the Super Bowl. And we fall flat against Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship game yet again. And I set my expectations this season, Brian, very low. Watching this team play the way we have this year, we've done it different ways. And that's what I like about this team. We've done it through the rushing attack. We've done it through a good defense. We weren't relying on Aaron Rodgers to throw for 400 yards a game. We've done it different ways. We've won games this year that I said in the past, we would have given up on this game. We would have said, no worth of trying. We would have lost that game. We fought back. We ended up winning. This team, not only have we won different ways and played a little differently this season, we're getting completely healthy. We're getting Jair Alexander back for the playoffs. He's a top 3 quarterback in the league, if not number 1, in my opinion. Okay, we're getting Zadarius Smith back. He hasn't played in a while. He's one of the best pass rushers. He's our best pass rusher in the NFL. We got David Bakhtiari back last week against the Lions. To me, he's the number 1 left tackle in the league. You might say Tyron Smith is better than him.
Not right now. He's had a better career, but right now, I'd probably give you the edge.
David Bakhtiari is a beast. We're getting Randall Cobb back, and I killed the Randall Cobb pickup this season. He's been fantastic for us. He
looks so great in the silver and blue.
I will own that. I will step up and own that I killed the Randall Cobb move. He's been fantastic for us. We are getting healthy at the perfect time in the playoffs to go on a run. Aaron Rodgers is just practiced the first time he's practiced in a long time because of toe injury. We're getting 4 of our 5 starters back on the offensive line. We're going in completely healthy at the right time. I love it for them. I love it for us. And before the season started, when we hired Joe Barry to be our defensive coordinator, I hated it. You look at Joe Barry and you go, when he was the defensive coordinator for Washington and he was defensive coordinator for, I believe, the Lions back in the day, they were never above number 23 in the league. I said, what are we doing here? This is a bad hire. He was with the Rams last year, but he wasn't the defensive coordinator. He's come in and completely changed this defense. The pickup from Campbell over the offseason, he's been one of the best linebackers in the NFL. We brought in guys to help us out. We brought in Rasul Douglas, who's been a beast this year from the Arizona Cardinals practice squad, who ended up getting the interception to beat the Cardinals at the end of the year. We've drafted Stokes, first-round pick. A lot of people killed us because they've had him going number 3. He's been one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL this season, especially as a rookie. I like this team. I got him beating the Rams again, 31-24. I think Stafford, this is the game I was telling you about. Stafford throws the ball away too many times. He tries to force it too many times. He's going to give our defense at least 2 interceptions in this game. I've got us winning this game 31-24. We're going to rely heavily on the probably Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon in the cold weather in Lambeau Field. Save that big arm for Aaron Rodgers. And we're going to rely on our defense to pressure Matthew Stafford and making big mistakes in this game, and we're going to win this one.
Am I crazy that I think A.J. Dillon's better than Aaron Jones?
Oh, I would say, see, Green Bay's I've seen some fans say the same thing. You're not crazy, but it's just a little difficult because Aaron Jones is a different kind of back. A.J. Dillon is a guy that's going to pound and ground. Basically, he's a beast. He's now, Saquon Barkley wishes he could be A.J. Dillon, in my opinion. Saquon Barkley's been a bust, in my opinion, with New York. He's been hurt. I'm not Saquon Barkley or the Saquon Barkley, whatever his name is, Barkley hype train. A.J. Dillon's a beast. I think besides Cleveland, we have the one and best 1-2 punch in the NFL. You could argue Zeke and Pollard, but Zeke's not himself.
They combined for 1,800 yards together this year.
He did bounce back this season. Aaron Jones provides us a tough runner, a guy that can break at any point in time. He also is a great pass catcher. So I like the 1-2 punch. I didn't like that we paid Aaron Jones in the offseason, but because I don't agree in paying running backs. But Aaron Jones is that good. You're not crazy to think of it. I still prefer Aaron Jones over A.J. Dillon, but A.J. Dillon is a fantastic pickup in the draft, and he's been a beast for us.
Yeah. Since you mentioned Zeke a while ago, I saw a fun stat that just popped up yesterday. I think that you would find interesting. So there's only been 2 running backs in the history of the NFL that have had 1,250 scrimmage yards in the first 6 seasons of their career. Before this year, the only person who had done that was LaDainian Tomlinson, and then this year Zeke becomes the second running back in NFL history to have 1,250 scrimmage yards in each of their first 6 seasons.
Now look,
so I love when people say Zeke's having a down year because he just keeps knocking out these scrimmage yards. And
he's had a bounce back year. If you were to tell me that last year, I wouldn't have believed you. Last year, he didn't look that great. This year, he's had a bounce back year, especially the beginning of the half of the season. So I will give you that. And he's looked different this year.
Banged up knee for 6 weeks, the last 6 weeks of the year, but these last 2 weeks, 6 weeks before the last 2 weeks, and didn't look the same, was hobbled around a little bit, but still was out there. And I would say Zeke does the little things better than any running back in the NFL. Like, he's probably the best pass blocking running back in the NFL, one of the best. And he just does all the little things that go unnoticed. He's just a complete football player. He's tough. He's gritty. He doesn't have the same juice he had a couple years ago, but he's still a really, really good running back in this league.
He's definitely great at picking up the blitz with his body type. He's like another lineman out there, and I've seen that this season as well with him. But let's jump back into the Packers-Rams here, Ryan. Tell me what you got in this game and why you had that outcome.
It's really hard to pick against Green Bay at Lambeau Field. I think Matt Stafford is going to go back to Lambeau Field and reminisce about all the times he's been sacked or choked games away, or how many times he got to see at that field Aaron throw a Hail Mary to beat his team and all of those good things. I think LA's had a fantastic season. I think they've got an amazing offense, but we've got to remember they've experienced injuries too. Their WR2, they had to trade for Odell. They actually tried to trade for Odell for the playoff run to make him their number 3. Now he has to be their number 2 because Woods is out for the year. They're playing with Sony Michel at running back because Akers and other running backs couldn't stay healthy as well. And so they had to make that trade. So I think overall, I just can't pick against Aaron Rodgers in this one at home against Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford throws 2 or 3 picks in this game. I think he tries to do too much. I think he tries to prove that he's in Aaron Rodgers' league, and he just after years of being in the division. And so give me the Packers in this one, 30-24. Packers 30, 24. I just think ultimately Aaron doesn't throw any INTs, and I think Stafford throws a couple.
Exactly, and that's what I've seen from him a lot this year. He's the games where he's thrown 3 interceptions, and they shouldn't have beat that. They shouldn't have beat Baltimore the other day the way they did, but they got the 1-point victory there. But all right, well we got number 2 Bucks versus the number 3 Cowboys, and since this is your team, Ryan, I'll let you go take first dibs on it, buddy.
So if we go ahead and beat San Francisco like we both predicted, you're going to see a highlight played a lot next week where Dak, after the loss at the beginning of the year, we played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their place to open up the season, and we played a very, very tight game with them. It was back and forth. It was an offensive shootout. In fact, we had the lead with a minute to go. Dak drove us down, took the lead with a minute to go. You left the GOAT with way too much time for him to go score where they kick a game-winning field goal to beat us by 2 points as time expires. It was a heartbreaking game, but at the end of the game, you saw Dak Prescott walk up to Tom Brady and said, "Hey, we'll see you again in the playoffs." And so you're going to see that played a lot. That being said, Tampa Bay is not near as scary as they were 8 weeks ago. Here's why. They've just had multiple injuries that have hurt the team in a real way. That they're weak at cornerback. Yes, they've got an amazing front 7, but they're weak at cornerback, and that's a tough position to be weak again against the Dallas Cowboys. We've got Amari Cooper, we've got CeeDee Lamb, we've got Cedric Wilson, we've got Schultz, we've got Blake Jarwin that came back last week, and so we've got dual threats at tight end, and we got 2 really good tight ends that can pass catch. We've got 2 wide receivers. We're completely healthy. We didn't talk about that much with San Francisco, but we have everybody back after the whole year just playing injured and making the way through the season, not having our full 22 starters. This will be the 3rd game in a row our starting line has actually played together for the season. Crazy enough, our starting 5 from the season have only played 2 games together all year long. And so in this game, I think that Tom just doesn't have enough weapons to. Yes, they'll be home. I think they'll keep it close. I think they'll keep it interesting. It's Tom Brady, but I think what Mike Evans isn't enough to beat this Dallas Cowboys team. I don't think Fournette, if he is back, I don't think he will be as good coming off that hamstring. No Antonio Brown, no Chris Godwin. If those guys are available, and you got to remember, all these guys were playing the Cowboys earlier in the season. Now I know the Cowboys were playing better at that point in the season, but they still barely pulled off a victory. And so when they've just got Mike Evans, and you're probably going to double him up and throw 8 men in the box and force Tom and Gronk to try to do everything, I think with Micah Parsons, it's just too much against Tampa Bay with their depleted wide receiving core. And so give me the Cowboys in another nail-biter finish, just like it was in week 1. Give me the Cowboys 31-28.
Nice. And this one, Ryan,
I mean, you're looking against me on this one, brother.
I've actually gone back and forth on this one. I flip-flopped a little bit here, and I thought, man, the Bucs healthy enough to win this game are Micah Parsons. You got to remember, he was still really young, and he's still really young, but this was the second game of his NFL career?
It was the first game of his NFL career.
First?
And he didn't. Okay. He had to lose Tom Brady, first game of his career. He didn't get a sack. He didn't really get pressured. He was trying to learn the defense. So
now this offensive line for the Bucs is fantastic, and maybe they hold Parsons again. I don't know.
But can they hold Parsons, Randy Gregory, and DeMarcus Lawrence?
Right. Probably not. I don't know if any offensive line in history could do that, but I went back and forth on this one. This one's probably one of the toughest ones to call because it also depends. And like my good buddy Jeff talked about last week, is he called the Cowboys the coin flip Cowboys. It depends on what Cowboys shows up. Is it going to be the one that showed up and fought the Buccaneers, really tough when they played them the first time? Or is it going to be the Cowboys that showed up against Arizona that should have won that game and really didn't show up? I have the Bucs winning this game, Ryan. I think, to me, and it's really tough, I think Tom Brady in the playoffs is hard to beat. To me, they're playing on the road in Tampa. Dallas offenses will not, they're not going to run the ball against the Bucs. The Bucs do not allow people to run the ball on them.
Right.
They're going to force Dak Prescott to beat them. I don't know if Dak Prescott can handle that. The slump I've seen, a little bit of the off. I don't know if he can do that on the road against Tom Brady. I think the Bucs are going to control the clock. I got the Bucs winning this one 31-21.
Oh, 10 points. You don't even think it's a last possession, huh?
I got a 10-point win. I just think I don't know. I just thought that was the score. And look, I know you like calling scores. I don't really care for scores because it's the hardest thing to pick. I just like picking winners.
Right.
I think it's probably a 3-point game, and Dak has to really drive down the field and throws the picks, gets rushed into a pick 6 or something like that. I don't think if it's all on Dak Prescott, he could beat Tom Brady on the road in the playoffs. So I got the Bucs moving on this. I flipped back and forth. At first I said, because the way you beat Tom Brady is pressure. You make him uncomfortable in the Dallas.
We arguably might be the best pressure team in the playoffs.
That is true. I went back and forth on it, but I said at the end of the day, Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott. I think Tom Brady gets the victory. Could be closer game. It could be Dallas. But Ryan, I got Bucs winning this one. So our NFC Championship game is going to mix and match up here. And look, if Packers and Cowboys make it, it'll be the NFC Championship game. I've got a lot of people out that were like, oh, we got to get together if that happens. So I got the Packers versus the Bucs rematch last season, Lambeau Field, NFC Championship game. I got a rematch here, Ryan.
Choking again?
Huh?
And y'all are choking again?
No, I got a rematch with a different outcome. Packers win this game in Lambeau to go to the Super Bowl. This is the third straight year. Come on. Hey, I'm not being biased. I just think, like I told you earlier, getting healthy at the right time helps. The Bucs are beat up, as we just talked about. I just think we're going to. I got it 31-28, nail biter, last-second field goal. Not that I trust Mason Crosby this season. He missed the most field goals in the NFL. So we both can reach. We can both bite our nails as our kickers are kicking field goals this season. But I think Aaron Rodgers at home again against the Bucs, who aren't as strong as they were last season. I just feel like we win. I think it's going to be specifically cold. It's going to go in our favor. We're going to be able to rush Tom Brady with Zadarius Smith. Rashawn Gary has busted out this year. He had a really good season. We got depth there. Campbell's been playing really well. We shut down their rushing game. Force Tom Brady to throw the ball. Hopefully we get pressure on him. I just feel like it's destiny, baby, for Green Bay to make it a Super Bowl this year. I got Green Bay winning this 131-28.
Green
I'm
Bay
interested.
Super Bowl.
Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got in
We
the
had a
Cowboys.
different NFC Championship game. I have Green Bay, Dallas. And in fact, if I'm being honest with you, man, that's the only part of the bracket that I just filled out just now as we've been talking and processing everything else, because it's the one game that I've had the most trouble picking. I really do believe that Green Bay and Dallas are not only the best teams in the NFC, they could potentially be the best teams in the NFL. Now, look, you're absolutely right. What Cowboys are you going to get? But when it comes down to talent-wise, our talent on our team can match up with anybody on the field that we're playing in front of. And so I've got Green Bay and Dallas in that NFC Championship game. And, man, I just think you're going to have a pissed-off Dallas Cowboys in that game that have gotten Aaron Rodgers the last 2 times that they play him. The whole Des Cotted incident in 2014. And then Mike McCarthy, let's not neglect if the storylines in that game, if the Cowboys do go to Lambeau Field, you're going to have Mike McCarthy returning to Lambeau Field. He's going to have a chip on his shoulders. He's going to want to prove that he is better than Matt LaFleur over there.
He's not, though. I said he's not, though, but go
I
ahead.
would have got a different answer 10 years ago. But would I have not? 10 years ago, you would have thought you would have.
Oh, yeah, you would have. You would have.
So anyways, you're gonna have a coach that has a chip on his shoulders. You're gonna have Aaron Rodgers is the same way you beat Tom Brady. You beat him with pressure. I think the difference with y'all versus San Francisco is y'all aren't afraid to pass the ball. You're not going to handcuff your elite quarterback, right? And so we're going to bring the farm at him all game long. I think Micah Parsons, D-Law, Randy Gregory are going to sack him multiple times. I think Aaron Rodgers is still going to do his thing, but I think ultimately the pressure hurts them in the long run, and you get a last-second drive. I think y'all are up 27-21 with 2 minutes left. I think the Cowboys get the football, and Dak drives us down, and we win 28-27 with just a few seconds left on the clock. And so I've got a doubt. And the reason I actually wrote this in, and I was struggling, it was making me sick to my stomach that I almost wrote Green Bay down to win this game. But at the beginning of the season, the beginning of the year, I picked KC and Dallas to go to the Super Bowl this year. Everybody would have told me I was crazy with Dallas even being thought of in that conversation at the beginning of the year. I told everybody I thought the Cowboys were going to go 12-5 and win their division this year, and they were going to be a top 2 or 3 team in the NFC. And so far they haven't. They've proved me right, and so I'm going to stick with what I said at the beginning of the year: Dallas versus Kansas City in the Super Bowl. And so you've got Dallas. So we both seem like homers right now, Brian, because you're playing Kansas City, and I've got my team playing Kansas City. But I think the difference in the game, if Dallas and Green Bay, the difference is I just think those 3 monsters playing defensive end for us, a linebacker can potentially, in a cold environment where it could be hard to throw the ball and it could be relying on the running game and relying on your defense to win a game for you. I think pressure really helps in those scenarios. And so I got the Cowboys winning a close one.
Well, look here, Ryan, most years I'd say you crazy if you think the Cowboys could go to the Super Bowl. But I've told you before this year that the Cowboys are contenders. I respect them, and it all depends on what team shows up.
Now, I would look an idiot if we just go out there and just beat by 10 points against San Francisco.
Yes. Now, that's the problem, and that would drive me crazy. Now, if I was a Cowboys fan, you're right. This team, the Dallas Cowboys, can match up if they play their ability, can match up with anybody on the field. They play great defense. They turn over the football. They get pressure on the quarterback. They're able to run the ball. They're able to throw the ball. The weapons they have is insane. Blake Jarwin just came back, who's their best tight end. Schultz has been a fantastic tight end for you this year, kind of out of nowhere. I didn't expect that for him this year. You have the team there. Can you put it all together every game going forward here from because it's win or go home? That's the problem.
I agree.
And that's the problem with a lot of teams. So you have the Cowboys, Kansas City. I have Packers, Tennessee. Go ahead and break down your Super Bowl matchup.
Well, you picked Tennessee over.
I did. So our Super Bowl is different.
Yes.
Our Super Bowl is different.
Yes, it is.
Give me your matchup and give me who you got winning real quick, and then I'll jump into mine.
Okay, I've got Dallas versus Kansas City. Dallas making its first appearance in the Super Bowl since 1996. I think that going back to the game that we just went over, I think it gives the Cowboys a ton of momentum. I think they come out playing hard. I think we punch KC in the mouth, but I think ultimately Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes' experience gets the Cowboys here. And I think I've got Kansas City beating Dallas in the Super Bowl, as much as it pains me to actually say that. I've got, and I know how hard it was for you losing 2 NFC championship games in a row, and how hard it's going to be when you lose 3 in a row this year. But I've got us making it to the Super Bowl. I think it'll be a hard-fought game. Give me KC 35. Give me Cowboys 31. I just think in the second half, Patty Mahomes starts to take over. They figure out our rush. I think they figure out a way to give Patty some time. I think Tyreek Hill burns us a couple of times. I think Diggs will take some risk trying to get some interceptions, and Hill will roast us because of it a couple of times. And I think that'll be the difference in the game. So give me, in my Super Bowl, I've got Kansas City winning it all, beating Dallas in the Super Bowl 35-31. Now, my homer pick is obviously I want the Cowboys to win it all, and I'll be rooting hard and hope I'm wrong. But as a Cowboys fan, with a team that hasn't been made a run in the playoffs since 1996, I would be ecstatic to make it to the Super Bowl and play a close game against Kansas City, and would be excited for the future.
Let me ask you this real quick. Whether you go far in the playoffs or what would be a successful season for the Dallas Cowboys?
NFC championship game or bust. We've made it to the second round multiple times. We have not been to an NFC championship game since 1996. And so if we lost an NFC championship game, while it would hurt, I would consider that a successful season for the Cowboys. We haven't gotten 2 playoff wins in a playoff since the 90s. And so to me, I would say the Cowboys did their job and had a fantastic season if they made it to the NFC championship game. Now, if we lose this week in San Francisco, I would hate to lose Quinn or Moore, who are better coaches than Mike McCarthy, after losing in the first round. And so I think Mike McCarthy is a good coach. Don't get me wrong. I just think I would rather have Quinn or Moore if we're going to lose in the first round. If we lose against San Francisco, I'd be like, all right, let's say bye to Mike and let's make Quinn our head coach and be done with this thing. With what he's done with his defense has been absolutely incredible. Atlanta, he was rebuilding. He went to the Super Bowl with them. He's proven. But I think we have the best coordinator package in the NFL that will help us tremendously if we can get time management under control. But to me, if we lose this weekend, I'll be devastated. It'll be rough for me. I'll be happy that we won the NFC Championship game, happy the first time in the playoffs in 3 years. But to me, it'll be like, hey, it'd be a disappointment. We're way too talented of a team to lose for the first round, in my opinion.
That's good. It's good. I like to hear that. Wanted to get that question out there. Now, for me, it's obviously Super Bowl or bust. We've been in the NFC Championship game 2 years in a row. The first year against 49ers, I had no hope. I didn't think we were going to win the game last year. We were the better football team. We choked it up. Aaron Rodgers choked it up in that game. We lost because of the offense. We lost because of Aaron Rodgers. In my opinion, this year I feel like it's destiny. I have the Packers versus Tennessee. I had Packers winning this one 35-21. I think we stomp them, and I haven't given Tennessee the credit. I gave them the credit getting there. I think they're one-dimensional. If you can shut down the rushing attack, we're going to be able to force Tannehill into some bad passes, and I just think Aaron Rodgers in this offense right now is booming. I've got Aaron Rodgers winning. Maybe I'm a little too cocky in the score there, but I got Packers winning the Super Bowl this year, and I feel comfortable because of
Will Aaron Rodgers be back if y'all win the Super Bowl?
yes. From what and let's take a Super Bowl out of it real quick. Will Aaron Rodgers be back without the Super Bowl? I think so.
If y'all lost in the second round of the playoffs, would he be back?
Ooh, well, second round of the playoffs.
The first game against LA, they'd come out and they'd just stomp you. Would he be back?
That's tough. If I had to go with my gut reaction, I'm going to say yes.
I don't. I think he's a crybaby. I think he's a diva.
I know you.
I think he's one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen in the face of the planet. He's amazing. He's absolutely. And if he had the rings that Tom Brady had, he would be the GOAT because he's more talented than Tom. He just doesn't have the rings. So I think he's probably, while I won't say he's the greatest quarterback the NFL's ever seen, I think he's the most talented quarterback that the NFL has ever seen. And but I just think he's also
look.
I just think his insides are ugly, Brian.
His insides are horrible. Look here, Ryan. Last year, the drama of the offseason, it turned me off on Aaron Rodgers. I didn't think he was coming back. But what he's talked about since then, if you go look at his Pat McAfee shows, he's talked about relationships being better. He's talked about his relationship with Brian, our GM, being better. That Brian's actually taken the opportunity to listen to Aaron Rodgers and what he wants. We got Randall Cobb back in for Aaron Rodgers. I feel my gut feeling. If you asked me this question at the beginning of the season, I would have told you he's not coming back. He's going to the Denver Broncos. If we win the Super Bowl, he's coming back. If we don't win the Super Bowl and we bust out in the NFC Championship game or we bust out in the playoffs, I give it about 60-40.
What if you lose in the Super Bowl?
I'd say he comes back.
Gotcha.
But with him, it's and Jeff told me this the other day. With him, it feels like whatever you think he's going to do, he's going to be the complete opposite. Now, I think he could retire as well. I think that's legitimately on his table. He was in Hawaii over the
There's no way that man's retiring from football. It is a ploy from his agent to let people know that if you're going to come after him and you're not on his desired destination to go to, then he will retire from the game of football. So if you're not one of the three teams he wants to play for, if you're not Denver, if you're not a team that can contend, then don't call us trying to trade for him because he will just retire. And Aaron Rodgers is a freaking guy. You could trade 3 first-round picks, and if he doesn't want to play for you, he's going to sit.
You're exactly right. He's going to go where he wants to go. I hope we've mended the fences. I hope Green Bay Packers #1 needs to be keeping Aaron Rodgers. Without him, we're completely done. Without him, we let go of Aaron. We let go.
I mean, you probably said the same thing when Brett Favre left. We're done. Aaron can't be Brett Favre, and so I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you right now, if Jordan Love comes out and he's an elite quarterback, I'm going to be stinking pissed because y'all just go from elite quarterback to elite quarterback to elite quarterback.
Now that question being brought up, have you watched any of Jordan Love? Can you because you look at the numbers and what he's done when Aaron Rodgers first started, and his first couple starts are better than Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he's the guy. I don't think he is.
I think he could be a bus driver to top 10 to 15 range quarterback. I think the odds of you striking gold for a third quarterback in the role are slim to none. But yeah, man, I think Aaron Rodgers leaves at the end of the season. I think he's done with the Green Bay organization. And unless you win a Super Bowl cures everything.
Winning cures, a lot.
But here's one game and scenario that neither one of us ended up with, but a lot of people are picking it, and I would love to talk this one out and to see is Green Bay versus Kansas City, because neither one of us had that as an option. And because I don't think you have a 14-point win playing against Kansas City like you picked with Tennessee. And you said it was a coin flip that you had between Tennessee and Kansas City. And so while I had Dallas and Kansas City and you had Tennessee and Green Bay, there's a lot of odd makers. And Vegas would probably say that the favorite would be Green Bay versus Kansas City. So if that was the actual matchup, if Vegas was right, then who wins that game, Brian?
And this is exactly why I don't want to face Kansas City. Our defense in the second half of the year has given up the big play too many times. We've allowed the big play to happen. And I'm like, my gosh, what is going on here? The Lions game, everyone was making fun of me. I'm like, we didn't need to win. That's a garbage game. I don't care. This defense has gotten a little bit worse on the back end in the NFL. I would have to give it to Kansas City, 34-31.
You picked almost the same score that I picked against us if we're playing Kansas City.
I do pick them to win. I don't think we would be able to guard their two great wide receivers, tight end as well. I'm throwing him as a wide receiver. He's basically a wide receiver.
Right, they've got two WR1s over there.
Patrick Mahomes is a beast. We can get pressure on him. That's the way to beat him. I just do not want to face him. I don't want to face his eye-power offense.
I'm going to eliminate him off my bracket because I don't even want to talk about the idea.
Hey, I think Tennessee will get him run for his money, okay? I do think, there are good odds that Kansas City wins the Super Bowl. But a lot of times when you look at these playoffs, a lot of times the odds don't match up. So I went a little against the odds. I got Tennessee there. I think Green Bay matches up with Tennessee really well. I don't think we match up really well with Tennessee or with the Chiefs. I think our offense will be able to score points, but I just don't know if we can hold that offense over there to under what we score.
Yep, I agree with you. I think KC would just be too explosive for you. I think Andy Reid would make Matt LaFleur look like a kid out there. He's just 2 seasons. He's played multiple Super Bowls. And I just think KC, I think there's a good chance that they could come out on top of this bracket. I would love to be wrong. I want to see something different happen. I would love to see somebody like Buffalo or Cincinnati come out of the AFC out of nowhere.
Cincinnati would be sick.
And make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Man, wouldn't it be crazy if like Pittsburgh just comes out of nowhere and just has a historic Cinderella run for Big Ben?
Right.
I would love to see something like, obviously you want the Packers to win it all. I want the Cowboys to win it all. But if they don't, man, I would love to see a Cinderella scenario or just something that nobody picked, like San Fran. If San Fran beats Dallas, bro, they could beat anybody in the NFC. Like that's going to be a team that nobody wants to face going forward.
I don't want to face them. Our history against the 49ers is kind of like the history with the Cowboys and Green Bay. It doesn't turn out in our favors usually. So I don't want to face them. I hope you guys beat them. But
the last time we played in the playoffs, they beat us in the NFC Championship game where Deion Sanders held Michael Irvin, and it wasn't cold. So,
blaming the refs. Come on.
Deion Sanders finally admitted recently that he did hold him. Yeah.
All right, Ryan. Well, you have the Chiefs over the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. I have the Packers over the Tennessee Titans in the Super Bowl. And which is kind of funny because the NFC to me is stronger than the AFC, but I think the Chiefs could beat anybody in the NFL.
One team that I think could be in the NFC and make it through the bracket as well.
Right. Definitely, man. Well, this is a fantastic episode. I got a show tomorrow with Jeff. We're going to break down. We're going to go week by week and go more into the games and go week by week as the NFL actually breaks down. Me and Ryan will jump back on here and at the end of the Super Bowl and kind of look at where we went wrong on our bracket and everything else. And when we get into basketball season, Ryan's big into basketball. He's probably more educated in basketball than I am, so it'll be great to have him on the show.
Yeah. If my Mavericks, man, I'm just as educated on the Mavs. Like, how much I've loved the Cowboys growing up. I'm exactly there with the Mavs. It's like 1A and 1B. Rangers and Stars would be definitely below them. A few years back, I'd probably put Rangers there, but man, this Mavs team with Luka has been a lot of fun. But really, with just sports, man, I feel like, man, I just love sports, and I love to dive myself into sports and all this kind of stuff. Because, man, like, I'm the only man in my house, Brian.
Oh, that's something
got-
we can
yeah.
relate on.
I've got all these girls and estrogen in the house, and man, I just need some time just watching man things, but it's fun. I got my daughter in there on her iPad. She's 4 right now, and then I got a 1-year-old daughter as well. And I mean, when we were playing on Thanksgiving, dude, I was devastated after we lost to the Raiders. Like, I felt cheated because Anthony Brown was just terrible pass PI call at the end of the game, whatever. I was just sitting there soaking, and she's like, "Daddy, what happened to the Cowboys? What happened to them, Daddy?" And I was like, she has no idea. She doesn't watch sports or anything like that, but she just knows Daddy loves this team. So, man, I love just diving into just all this stuff. And I think it's going to be a fun football season, playoff season. I think it's going to be great. I think it just might be my season, man. I won my fantasy football league. I won it all. My team name was Dacupuncture, and we took the
That's good.
we took the ship because I had Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, and Jefferson all on the same team.
Oh, wow. That's
pretty crazy. I don't think that'll ever happen again, but man, it's just going to be a fun year. And I don't know about before we jump off here, I know we're going to be dumb. What is the one team that you just want to just get knocked off right off the bat? To me, it's the Bucks. I just want them to lose. I want Tom Brady to be done.
Yeah. I don't, like I told you, I don't want Kansas City in the Super Bowl. I don't want Tom Brady in the playoffs. For some reason, and it's just because he's the GOAT. He wins. He doesn't lose in the playoffs.
Right.
That and Kansas City. Those are the two teams I'm like, I'll just take them out and I'll feel much better about my team winning. But like you said, you have to beat the best teams if you think you're going to deserve to go and win the Super Bowl. So, and I totally agree with that. But Tom Brady to me is one of those that I'm like, I don't, they're tough. He's a tough matchup. We should have beat him last year when he threw those 3 interceptions.
I thought y'all had that game won.
We should have. Oh, I was so mad. But I digress here. We talk here about being a girl father, and I wave my arms around. You probably see these little things, and that's just why I wear them. I'm a girl dad. I'm proud of that. I got 4 girls. You got 2. It's a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot of estrogen. It's a lot. I found out though that you got to get them in the sports with you. Like, my mom tried to try to get my daughter, Darla, she's 8, to cheer for the Cowboys the other day, and she said no. I'm a Packers fan. I said that's my girl. Yeah. So that's fantastic. You got to grow. You got to just bring them in with your passion of sports. Now they won't sit down and watch it with me, but I hope that changes over time. And
same here. They're just too young right now to be able to understand and grasp. But she'll sit there and say she'll tell her mama she's watching the Cowboys game with Daddy, but she'll have the iPad in the hand the whole time, just
right,
playing games,
not even paying attention. But
right.
that's a good start. That's a good start. And we even talk about one thing that being a girl father to me has been. They've allowed me to be more sensitive. You know what I mean? Dude. More sensitive to their needs, more because I just want to sit back and go, oh, you got to toughen up. What are you crying about?
Right.
But now at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I got to think into their perspective, try and think a different way. And that's what they've really helped me is being a little more sensitive to their needs. And that's great because more sensitive and more caring and a bigger heart and all that comes with being a girl father. And I think as long as you can get them into your sports and get them into sports and themselves in school and stuff is a fantastic way to kind of have that passion kind of lead over into their lives. And
y'all are done, right? You're not going to go for that boy?
No.
Number five's not the one, bro?
We are locked and done, and it is not happening. I'm pretty sure you probably have more. You only have 2.
But dude, here's the thing. we can talk about this in the future one day if we want to get outside of sports a little bit. But it was a journey to get our kids. So we've been pregnant 5 times, and we've got our two girls to show from it. But my biggest fear is, and I know you do this every day because you're there, but like 3 weddings to pay for.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
4 to pay for, bro.
I gotta talk them into just going to the courthouse. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, we can talk about all that later on. And but it's been fantastic having you on the show. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day with your family to come on here. And hey, we'll have you on some more, and we'll get into after the Super Bowl, and hopefully I come on here rooting and being able to tell you I told you Green Bay was going to win it. But we'll have you on. And we'll go over
if my boys win.
Oh, I know. You'll probably be in this room with me doing the show together. And
oh yeah, dude, I'll be decked out in blue, custom ring ordered.
Already in. I'm like, bro, just how'd you get that? No, if they do play up together, we will have to be together. We'll have to watch together somehow. We'll go to a Buffalo Wild Wings or something.
Yeah,
we got to be there.
I really think we're gonna see y'all in the NFC Championship game.
I hope so, and then I don't hope so. I hope so because I would love to be and crush your dreams again. Because Aaron Rodgers.
I also hate to live in DFW and get beat by the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game.
Exactly. I would never hear the end of it. So that's why I do and I don't want to face the Dallas Cowboys. But all right, buddy. Well, I gotta jump. About time we jump off here. I gotta get in bed.
All right. See, I gotta get home. I've been at work all day in the office right now. So. All right. You have a good night. Loved it, man. Look forward to coming on sometime.
Definitely. And for all everyone that's watching this, God bless you guys and have a great, fantastic weekend.
See y'all later.